Welcome to Network Spotlight. I'm your host, Mikhail. On today's show, I will be talking to Ethan of Astrovault, which is the first automated market maker on Archway. And Archway is a protocol within the Cosmos ecosystem. They're not live yet, so this is very early stage. So please keep in mind that this is not financial advice. It's very risky to be investing in using very early stage projects, but this is more of an educational content for you to understand all the complexity that goes behind creating these protocols and automated market makers, as well as a little background about Ethan and his co founder, Eric. It's a very interesting story how they started. I think you'll enjoy. Please support the channel by subscribing, like the video so more people can get access to this educational content. Enjoy. I do appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. Hope all is well.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. What exactly is Astrovault?
Yeah, so Astrovault is the premier AMM of Archway network. For those of you that aren't familiar, Archway is an up and coming Cosmos network focused on realigning incentives for builders. So they're really focused on making sure that the people building protocols, the DApp developers, are receiving appropriate compensation for the things that they contribute and build. Right now, we've got all kinds of people contributing to the TVL and the metrics of a network. However, a lot of people aren't receiving compensation for that. It's kind of like a select group of people that issue the token backing the chain that are really raking in the money. Whereas we believe on Archway that it should be the people that are building these products and contributing this value that should be remunerated for theirs.
And how do you feel like that? What kind of an impact do you feel like that would have?
Well, I feel like it's a great catalyst for growth and development. I mean, we've got a lot of people looking to stretch into the Web3 space from the traditional tech sectors. It's a burgeoning space right now. I think that, there has been a lot of negative sentiment with the bear market going on and the conditions we've kind of seen, but, that comes with the territory. There are ups and downs, and it's the people that build through these times and really focus on the important things like how to create revenue, how to create new and sustainable products. And that's one thing that we're focused on primarily at Astrovault is creating sustainability for AMMs. And that's kind of our whole ethos is creating sustainability and bringing that to the people, allowing people to access these advanced financial products and really lowering the barrier for entry and making them in a way that continually contributes and stores value.
I've talked to a lot of people that are building within the Cosmos ecosystem. Some of them are blockchains, some of them just, certain tools. Why is there so much attention from a development standpoint right now on Cosmos?
Yeah, so I think it's primarily centered around the interoperability of Cosmos. Cosmos is just kind of like a giant web where everybody can connect to everybody. And that's a pretty optimal standpoint for the future of Web3, I think. I think the projects that are the most interconnected and the most collaborative are the ones that we're going to see succeed, as long as they have solid business models backing their protocols. And that's kind of where we're at right now, I think, in the market, is that a lot of people haven't stopped and gone back and looked at their tokenomics and the economics of their protocols. We have a lot of really wonderful, brilliant products on the market, but the economics behind them are extremely lacking. And so we wanted to be a catalyst for growth and change in the market. We wanted to create the standards that we want to see upheld.
Why is it so difficult to get tokenomics right?
Well, so I think it's kind of a discussion of aligned incentives, right? So currently people are launching assets and they make a bunch of money, they do a big raise, they launch this protocol, and their incentive is, to make money, obviously. So they're really just going on, and then they're just doing this in a cycle: wash, rinse, repeat. The token goes under as long as you got out with enough time. You cleared a big enough bag, then you go on and you do it again. And that may be great for your personal bags, and that may be great for your ability to do these raises. We did this raise before for 10 mil, blah blah blah. We're raising for this new product, da da da. Like, that's kind of the course that we've taken. Is just this continual cycle, and somebody has to come out and somebody has to break that cycle. Somebody has to launch something that puts this stuff to shame, so that we understand that this cannot be the cycle that we're locked in. Like, we can't continue to relaunch AMMs over and over and over again. There's thousands of AMMs right now, and most of them are not substantially different from one another. That's a problem. If we look at the turnover rate on these products, something is wrong with this type of product, and we know exactly what it is, and that's why we built Astrovault.
So why do you think it's taken so long for other people to catch up? Is it just they're just not understanding?
It's the money. It's the money. The profit incentive is to launch a new token, do a new raise, take in all this money. I'd like to say that we're completely altruistic. We're pretty altruistic, but our real motive here is to just change things, is to make it so that if you're doing this kind of practice, if you're creating a product that's not sustainable, it'll be highlighted by the existence of our product that is. We want to create a solid counterpoint when it comes to sustainability.
Amazing. So, right now there's a strong emphasis on decentralized finance, especially with everything that's transpired with obviously FTX, right? So, how do you see that whole shift? I mean, how do we take something that was so bad and make it into a positive moving forward?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that we really need to examine is who we're trusting. So that was the whole incentive behind creating Bitcoin in the first place, is not to trust these centralized third parties with our money, right? So that's where DeFi comes in. DeFi is an alternate way to create these products in a way that you still control your own funds. And I think that narrative is going to be very strong going forward as we see more malfeasance and more of these practices that are despicable, obviously, in the centralized sector. I think if you create a system that's based on trust and susceptible to manipulation, people will inevitably manipulate it. And that's why we're trying to create something that is accountable to the people 100%, that is 100% clear as to, transparent and all that stuff. I mean, you have to provide the clarity. You have to create a decentralized system. And I think a lot of people are creating centralized, decentralized systems. And that's no good. What's the underlying value of your token, and what does it actually control? What is your DAO made up of? What does your DAO control? Our DAO controls a treasury. Our protocol and liquidity is controlled by the AXV DAO. So they actually have real power linked to a monetary amount. It's not just arbitrary. Like, you can, put in some info on a form here and that makes you special. No, you're actually a contributing member of a decentralized organization, which is how these things are supposed to be built. Unfortunately, a lot of people are creating suggestion boxes.
So Ethan, there are a lot of different projects. They have different mentality when it comes to onboarding users. There are some projects that want to make it as easy as possible to bring in traditional people from Web 2.0. And there are some projects that say, hey, look, we are not necessarily for everybody. We're a little bit more advanced for advanced traders, for advanced users. Where do you see Astrovault fall into that spectrum?
Perfect. So we're providing advanced tools to the least skilled user. That's kind of our goal, is to make it so easy that your grandma could use it, but at the same time, we want to provide the complex functionality that creates the sustainability that we put forth in our white paper. So it is a fairly complicated product with a lot of moving parts. However, almost all of that is going on behind the scenes on the back end. And I think that's where things are going to trend in DeFi and just kind of in general in crypto. People don't want really bulky inputs that they have to, select 20 options and move the slippage and all this stuff that makes it an AMM difficult to use for somebody who has no crypto experience. We're basically trying to streamline that process and provide the advanced tools to your grandma. Basically, we want it to be no barrier for entry. We're partnered with Cato Money to allow instant on-ramping and off-ramping on the platform in a decentralized manner. They're a really awesome product, and they're connecting to pretty much everybody in the cosmos to provide that same functionality. I think you're going to see a lot of interoperability, a lot of collaboration, and most of these AMMs will probably have a fair amount of back and forth for a good long while, I think.
You should probably put somewhere on your Twitter page, "Grandma tested and approved." That might kind of help some of the stuff.
That's the goal, is to make it so easy your grandma could use it, but to provide the advanced functionality to users if they desire.
And it does look, I was going to say, and it does look advanced. I looked at your white paper. I mean, there's a lot of mathematical equations that honestly went over my head, but I do agree with you that sometimes it takes you to actually jump into the platform and actually use it in order for you to really see like, oh wow, okay, this is a lot more simple than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and it all comes down to UX, right? It basically comes down to how complicated you make this for the user. And our goal was to make that extremely simplified, so that you have the familiarity with swapping. You know what a coin is, and you know what coin you want. That's about all you need to know to use our platform. You don't need to know what a derivative is. You don't need to know how it works. Any of that is not necessary in order to actually come in and use the platform. You can just not even touch a derivative, and you can swap between totally different assets, and it may route through derivatives, but that directly benefit the protocol as it's doing that. But again, none of that is anything that you need to oversee or worry about. And that's kind of what we were trying to do, is create a system whereby somebody could walk in off the street with no crypto knowledge and just want to buy an asset and come in and use our platform. That's a big problem in crypto right now, is that, like, if you want to buy a specific asset, your buddy told you about this project that's really interesting, you have to like go on CoinGecko and go on a treasure hunt to figure out where you can buy it, right?
Yeah,
It's a problem.
yeah.
It's a problem. We need more accessibility. We need more DEX aggregators. I think Rango is a really good protocol. There's a lot of people making waves and stepping forth into that niche, providing the interoperability, and that's why we're partnered with Axelar, so that we can build that interoperability into our platform.
How did you get to this point of having this knowledge to be able to create, this type of product?
So I invested a lot of money into AMMs at different points. There was different technologies and different things that I was interested in that I thought were fascinating, and that's kind of what led me here, as a process of error and realizing why this is happening to me and my finances. Quite frankly. And it was some very detailed, long, intricate discussions between Eric and I into the wee hours of the morning, where we're going through these things, these products that have wonderful, wonderful technology, but the economics just don't make sense. And so that's what we were looking at, is how do we fix the economics, and how do we do it in a way that somebody's not going to take under in a year or 2 years, or that the token isn't going to get farmed to nothing in a short amount of time. That's the problem, is you have to incentivize liquidity. Everybody agrees you have to draw liquidity in, but how are we retaining that liquidity? That's a question that most people aren't asking, and that's kind of at the root of our protocol, is that we're retaining that liquidity for our DAO, and we're putting the keys of that in the hands of our participants.
You mentioned Eric, who is, my understanding, the other co-founder. What's his role in all this?
So he is our chief financial officer. He's pretty much our go-to economics guru. If you have a problem economically and you need to solve it, Eric is the guy to go to. He has one of those unique, interesting minds that operates on numbers. So, like, he'll be the kind of guy that can look at like an advanced theorem and tell you exactly what it is, what it means, what the individual parts of it are, and can solve it like immediately. My brain does not work that way. I'm really good at looking at the big picture and looking at circumstances and behaviors and things like that down the line, and predicting. Right, I can predict really well. I'm a really good chess player, but when it comes to the raw data, I don't see it like matrix code like he does.
Would you be able to shed some light on his background and how he
Yeah,
started tokenomics?
yeah. Yeah, so Eric came from the gambling industry. He actually helped a lot of casinos with their different slot games, helping make slot games, different table games, and different things like that, and optimizing casino systems and different game systems for casinos. And so from there, he already had like the game theory background, and he has a background in economic philosophy. That's what he went to college for, has a degree. And so he was already doing a lot of like gamification and things like that. And so when he came into DeFi, he took a look around. He's like, what is going on here? And I was involved in an AMM project when I met him, and we both had, I was like a minor, helper role, and we had detailed discussions about, what's going wrong here? Why is it going wrong? What would we do differently? And then it came to a point where we just had enough discussions along these lines that it's like, we have to do something with this. Like, we have to, and we have a bunch of friends that are developers. So, like, why don't we change things? And so that's where it started.
So, what were like your next steps in that whole entire process to go from, oh, great, we have an idea, to
Yeah.
where you are today?
Well, a lot of planning, a lot of planning. A lot of sitting down at the drawing board and figuring out the details, and also a lot of R&D. A lot of it's one thing to have an idea; it's another thing to apply it, and it's a whole nother thing to take that idea and to run it through the ringer. So, if you put a financial product on the market, people are going to try to exploit it, right? So, one of the first things that we had to do, even with the ideation of this product, is to look at all of the ways, and we spent a long, long time doing this with a whole bunch of analysts, but we all the ways that this product could theoretically be broken and then solving for it. So it's one thing to have an idea, but it's a whole other thing to be able to execute on that idea. And that's one thing that we wanted to make sure that we could do. And so we sat down and we went through with a fine tooth comb and found all of the points where we felt like we had to add redundancies or fail safes or different things to make sure that this is 100% safe and not exploitable. And so once we had that down, then we went to our developer friends and we're like, hey, we have this vision, we have this idea, we can change things. And we just put it to them, and they're like, yeah, let's go, let's build it. It's been one of the most amazing experiences of my life. The whole startup thing. I mean, people don't understand that when a lot of people come into this, especially if you didn't come from a background of money, that most of these people are just operating together as a team off of their blood, sweat, and tears. The difference between the projects that fail and the projects that make it are that the projects that make it persisted. They stuck around, they did the work, and so that's why we're here through the bear market. I mean, it's been a very difficult time to have a lot of these difficult conversations with people and to raise funds and do some of the things that we've had to do, but we're in it. We believe in what we're doing, and what we're doing needs to occur. Somebody has to create a catalyst for change and sustainability in the market. We can't keep turning over products like this and asking institutional investors to take us seriously.
How long did that entire process from start to where you are today? Like, how long did that take?
Probably about a year, I think. Maybe a year and a half, somewhere in there now. From where we initially started, like just with a basic idea, hey, this is what we want to do, um, to like actually getting that, built out. And now we're at a point where we're, about to go live in April, I believe. We'll be going live with Archway mainnet, and it's been a long journey. It's been a long, arduous journey, but we're still here, and we're committed 100%.
I can imagine, as you're building this out, you probably have a lot of different emotions. You're excited. You want to see like all your hard work pay off.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know, like, what are some of the concerns that you have when
Yeah. So
launching something like this?
Yeah, so like especially with the FTX thing, man, it's super frustrating to watch people make the mistakes that we're sitting here pointing out, talking about, like, hey guys, this is broken, this is a problem, you're gonna get burned. We've been saying that forever now. Long before Terra happened, we wrote in our white paper that in our drafts of the white paper that a black swan event like this was coming. We knew it was coming. We knew that Olympus DAO was going to have problems. We knew, we knew all this stuff was going to happen, and we've been talking about it with people, high up people in the crypto industry for some time. And it's been an uphill battle. People don't want to hear negative news. They don't want to hear a lot of what we've got to say, which is why we're here to prove it. It's one thing to talk about economic theory. It's a whole nother thing to apply it. And so that's why we're really focused on getting to that mainnet launch and launching with Archway mainnet, and just getting that revenue on the board and showing people what can actually be done with these products when you realign incentives and take a look at the economics behind them.
So you mentioned that mainnet is coming up here in April. What else do you
Don't
have?
quote me on that.
I'm
Don't quote
sorry,
me on that, but I believe April.
on that.
Whenever Archway goes live, we'll be going live with them, and that's the last estimate that I heard. But yeah, I do believe early April.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know what it's like with timelines in the crypto space. They
Especially because that one's not mine, though.
Right, right. So it sounds like you guys are set to go. It's just a matter of Archway and
Yeah.
kind of like where they are in terms of their
Yeah.
development and if they're ready to
And
go.
I think they're on track. I think they're on track. Yeah, absolutely. They're really focused on just making sure that everything is set up and ready to go and well tested beforehand. But yeah, they're a really exciting platform. I think the way that they're aligning incentives for developers is an extremely attractive option for people looking to stretch out into the cosmos. And a lot of people aren't thinking about the overhead that comes with a layer one. You have to incentivize node operators, and you have to do that indefinitely. As long as you have a chain, you're going to need people to run that chain, and people aren't going to do that for free.
So what's next for Astrovault?
Well, getting through to launch, definitely. We're going to launch like an MVP at first, and then we'll be rolling out features, some of the more advanced features as we go along. But really, just getting through to that launch, getting the product up, and getting people testing. We'll have a lot of beta testing opportunities in the meantime. So if you join our chats on Telegram, Discord, follow us on Twitter, we'll probably be sending out some feelers there and seeing those who are interested in participating in some of the beta testing opportunities. Those will be available.
Great. I do have a question. When you look at the landscape of blockchain technology, Ethereum, obviously a lot of liquidity, and there's a lot of reasons why people should be developing within Ethereum just for that reason alone, right? It's much easier to have access to that liquidity. So when you go against the grain, I mean, you're definitely taking the higher, or I should say, the more difficult path, right? But clearly, you believe that this is the correct path for you. I don't think there's a question here, but more of just an observation that I've made that congrats to you and your team of how far you guys have come so far, and for taking that more difficult road, because I think we had to push our boundaries. And if everybody just kind of went the easy path, I don't think that we would be able to discover new capabilities. So I think part of the reason why we
Exactly.
are able to is because of people like you for exploring these new opportunities. So thanks so much for sharing that.
Appreciate it, Mikhail.
Yeah, where can people learn more about Astrovault and about yourself and everything else that you're working on?
Yeah, so check in with us at Twitter. It's axv_dex, and then we have a Twitter and a Telegram that are linked there as well. You can go to astrovault.io and read a bit about our protocol and kind of check things out as we head into launch. We've got a small roadmap up there and some things, and obviously links to our socials. And the Archend podcast is a great resource if you want to stay in touch with all things Archway. That's a podcast that Eric runs, I believe, weekly, and he puts like news updates and different things on there to keep people in touch with what's happening out in our neck of the woods.
Amazing. We'll make sure to include the links in the description. Last question for you, Ethan. You're
Yeah.
part of the Network Spotlight community on Telegram. How has your experience been so far? Have you been able to connect with anybody so far?
Amazing. Yeah, it's great. It's a wonderful space. Pretty much, it's a who's who of anybody building in the cosmos and contributing in any way. It's a really wonderful, remarkable community that you put together, and I'm really grateful to be a part of it.
Oh, we definitely appreciate you being part of that and taking the time to chat with me today. Ethan, real pleasure. Thanks so much for taking the time, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Mikhail. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.